This was my identity.
Nobody talks about how freaking hard it is to be a dentist. What most people talk about is how this affects the patient. What nobody talks about is how this affects us. Dentistry is ready for this. Now is really the time. Welcome back to Wellness in Dentistry. Today is a very, very exciting day, and I'll tell you why in just a little bit. So, I am Dr. Kyle Stanley. I'm a dentist, tech entrepreneur, speaker, and a researcher, and I'm joined by my very good friend and your co-host, Dr. Martin Mendelson. Martin is a disabled dentist, coach, speaker, and author. And his first book, One Move Makes All the Difference, came out yesterday.
Woohoo!
So today's discussion is all about this topic of one move makes all the difference, which Martin discusses in his book. So this will be a very special day, something Martin has been working on for years, something I was lucky enough to be a part of as far as reading the book early, being able to write a review for it too. So this is a big day. Martin, congratulations.
Thank you. I'm super excited. You said it. It's a big day. It really is. A big week.
I remember when you first came to me. When was it that you first had this idea?
Well, the idea's been a while now, but it was several years ago, believe it or not, that things finally percolated to the point that I said, I'm doing this, and I'm telling
Yeah,
you this to hold me accountable.
right. Yeah, which is something we talk about.
Yeah.
This book, for me, it was so interesting reading it. And thank you for letting me read it early
Yeah.
and to write a review for the is it mine on the back of it? I can't remember.
It's in the book with all the other testimonials. Yep.
Amazing.
Yep.
It was very interesting for me because after knowing you for many years, after teaching alongside you, after learning alongside you for many years, there was a lot of the book that I knew. I knew some of the
Sure.
stories, I knew some of your exercises. Then there was all these other things that I had no idea with you. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like watching a movie where I knew a little bit of the plot, but
hmm
then the nuance that was in it was so exciting for me.
Oh, well, thank you. That's kind of my intention to be very open and transparent, as you saw in the book. I don't really keep anything back, but the truth is the book isn't only about me. As you saw, there's so many other stories from these amazing people that I get to call friends, which I still can't believe, from all different walks of life, some of whom are famous, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
So one move makes all the difference.
Yep.
This is something that I've heard you harp on, something that I've started, incorporating in my language too, which is zero is better than one.
Yep.
Expand on that. Why do we even need to hear that?
Because, hope is not a plan. And so what I talk about in the book is, yes, one will always be greater than zero, just taking that one step. And so it kind of came about as a coalescence of a couple different things. One of which was very specific to the idea one is greater than zero, which is this. When I wasn't working for 17 months, when I first became disabled, I came upon a song by Heather Small, and it's called Proud. But in the chorus, she sings, "What have you done today to make yourself feel proud?" And I took that in my darkest days and I used it to just do one thing. If it was make the bed when my hand was hurting, that was a good thing. If it was going to the gym or going to PT rather at the time,
Hmm.
that was a good thing. If it was making one phone call, that was a good thing. So it kind of started from there, and then it expanded once I became aware of the Viktor Frankl attributed quote that I talk about all the time about, there's this between stimulus and response, there's a space. And so it kind of ended up culminating into my team framework, which I know we'll talk about because that's a huge part of the book. So it really came from not only my experience, but my observations of life, not only my own life, but others. And that, so many times it is that one additional thing that you do that changes everything. That one phone call, that one meeting, that one conversation. So,
And so this book we have mostly dental professionals that listen to us. I know
Yeah,
we also have some of our friends that are attorneys
yeah,
and business owners that
yeah.
listen to our podcast, which is kind of fun. But this book is not specifically for dental professionals. I mean, this book can be for your kids. This could be for your spouse that's not a dentist. This could be for your neighbor that's in the tech world or that's anything.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. In fact, the day after this episode debuts, I'm going to be up in front of 3 to 5 thousand tech entrepreneurs because of my book and because of the concepts in here. And so this is not about dentistry. It happens to include the journey of somebody that is a dentist. But when I talk about the things I learned working in a dental laboratory, I take the what sentence to explain, a dental lab is a place that makes the crowns and bridges. So, yeah, this is not for dentists. This is for humans. This is for anybody who feels stuck. This is for people who are looking for a way to help have their thoughts not get in their way and have their thoughts help propel them forward in a different way. That's what this book is for.
So if they're stuck financially, if they're stuck emotionally, if they're stuck in their job, if they're stuck in their relationship,
Mhm.
anywhere,
Yeah,
this
doesn't
will help them
matter.
get them
Doesn't
unstuck.
matter. Because the first exercise in the first chapter, you've actually seen real time deployed. It's not something unique to me. It's called the Wheel of Life, and it's attributed properly in the book, of course. And it's a way to visualize if your life is out of balance. Because I want you to imagine like a wooden wagon wheel for those who are unfamiliar with this. So imagine a wooden wagon wheel with the wooden spokes.
Yeah.
So each of those spokes is an area of your life. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's intimacy, maybe it's learning, personal development, physical health, that kind of stuff. And on that spoke, from the axle to the outer edge, it's a scale from 0 to 10, and you pick where you are, not where you want to be, but where you are
Mhm.
for each of those areas. And then you connect the dots and see if that wheel is contiguous or balanced. And if not, then the next question becomes, okay, great. What do you see? What do we need to do to go from, let's say, a 5 to a 7? Not a 5 from a 10, not a 5 to a 10. We
Yeah.
talk about that in the book as well. But I give you guidance about how to start to make those moves to make all the difference. And each exercise basically builds on the other.
Yeah, it's almost like paying $20 to have you as a coach.
Yeah, that's
And,
exactly what
I
it
know your
is.
coaching fees and
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah. And my coaching fee is a little bit more than that. Yeah,
yeah, a little bit more than that.
yeah,
Which, it's such a no-brainer. I like that you started the book with the awareness step.
yeah,
I was
yeah,
just having a little conversation with someone through comments on Instagram yesterday because I had posted something about how dental schools maybe need to start teaching more soft skills.
yeah.
And her argument was people need to have more therapy. And I
Okay.
said, like, well, maybe we could not have people need therapy if they learn these soft skills at the beginning, right? And she was
Right.
like, well, I think that the only way that in order to make a change, you need to have
Yeah,
self-reflection. And I was like,
yeah.
we totally agree on that. However, I don't think you need therapy to have self-reflection. Now, as a side note, I'm not against therapy at all. I'm very much a proponent of therapy and think that
Sure.
it's very helpful. But is therapy the medicine for the problem that we could have prevented had we had these soft skills in dental school, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
why I'm telling you this is that this doctor and we both agreed that you
Mhm.
have to have the awareness in order to change any problem.
100%.
And I think that
100%.
there's a lot of books, especially in the self-help world, that don't start with the awareness. They start with solutions.
hmm and I've kind of brought this into my keynote from Grit to Gratitude that I'll be giving, as I said, tomorrow. The whole discussion around the book, The Secret. And there's nothing wrong with the book, The Secret. However, it's a great inspirational book, yet it's also a bit misleading because if all you do is sit there and think and attempt to manifest without the commensurate action, nothing's going to change. And
Yeah.
so, yes, I very much agree with you. Um, it's a yin and yang, right? That's what it is. That's what
Well,
it
I
is.
think what what you've done in this book and what you do in all of your teachings, of course, is you blend so well the mindset, the stuff that feels fluffy
Yeah.
with the science
Yes.
and with action. And I
Yes.
think that's why you have so many dental professionals that love you and pay you to come out and
Yeah.
teach their team and coach them and come to our seminars and stuff. Because as dentists, we're scientists.
Yes.
And we like facts, we like research, but we
Mhm.
also like action, doing.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like you
Absolutely.
said, if you're like, I'm going to be the best crown prepper in the world, and you just think about that all day long, you're not going to become
Yeah.
the best crown
Yeah.
prepper, right?
Yeah.
How do you get better at prepping crowns? By prepping crowns. And
Exactly.
also by then looking at data, looking back at your crowns,
Hmm.
noticing
Hmm.
it, talking to your laboratory technician, talking to your specialist, having complications, having
Hmm.
things break. That's how you get better. And so it's like we need this mixture of, yes, the mindset stuff, yes, the science,
Hmm.
but the action too.
Absolutely. So, to that end, for those who've heard us talk about multiple books on this podcast before, we've talked about The Happiness Advantage multiple times by Sean Akor, PhD, New York Times bestselling author. And I can't even believe that he gave me a testimonial. One of the things he said about my
Glowing
book,
testimonial.
I know, it's like, I still can't believe it. One of the things he said about my book, my little old book, was, quote, well researched, but
Yeah.
it's very much a story. And so, what I'd love to do? I'd love to read everybody just the first paragraph of the entire book because I believe it very much sets the tone. And just kind of a side note behind the scenes comment, where I was working with the editors and my agent, it was this whole round and round and round. You need an intro, you need an intro, you need an intro. And I was like, I don't like intros. But I do like personal messages. And so I don't
Yeah.
have an intro. I have a letter from Martin. And so
Mm.
I want to read you the first paragraph of the book that's entitled A Letter from Martin. So it goes something like this. People who write books like this on happiness, on living your dreams, are often looked at as the living embodiment of the very message they teach. And to some extent, that's true. Because if we hadn't learned something worth sharing, we wouldn't share it. But don't think we, or rather I, have a perfect and perfectly happy lives. I'm very much the living embodiment of happiness as a comparative emotion. Yet, what keeps me on an even keel is understanding the concepts I'll be sharing with you throughout this book. I'm just as challenged as all of you are, but I actively do something about it on a daily basis, just like you will have to do. I've been through therapy. I've taken medication for my mental health from time to time. I stopped drinking. I became a coach to save myself as much as to help other people. The point is that this is very much a journey, not a destination. So I hope that gives people an insight into the tone of this work that I've spent so many years creating with some amazing writers and editors as well.
And having been your friend now for 5 years
Yeah.
and being very close and seeing your ups and downs too, that's very much, that's real.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, 100%.
you have
Yeah.
times that you get frustrated, you have times that you're angry, you have times that you're sad.
Yep.
But the difference with you and with someone else who hasn't gone on this journey yet or put in the reps is that space between that stimulus and the response,
Yep.
or is how long you are sad, angry, mad, frustrated,
Hmm.
or the not the volume, but like the how mad you get, let's say. I don't know
Yeah. Yeah.
what would be that word that I'm looking for, like the
Uh, uh, Degree of anger? I don't
yeah,
know.
maybe
Yeah,
something like
okay.
that.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But like, yes, you'll get mad,
Yeah.
but it's a shorter time
Yeah.
and it's of less volume or it's of
Hmm.
lesser degree. And that is real life.
Yeah.
Like you say all the time, it's not rainbows and unicorns and everything's amazing
No.
once you
No.
learn something like this.
Yeah.
And it's similar to what you and I talk about in our Light Side Live course, which is like we're giving you the tools to
Hmm.
handle the difficult things that happen in your
Absolutely.
practice because there's some of those we can avoid, like maybe
Hmm.
20% of
Yeah.
challenges we can actually stop. They don't
Yes.
won't happen anymore. but 80% of them will still happen. Patients will still come late. Patients will still
Mhm.
complain about your fees. They'll
Yep.
still write you a bad review because your front
Mhm.
office didn't
Mhm.
answer in 2 rings. Like this stuff still
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
It's how you deal with it after that. And those are what these skills are that Martin teaches in the book.
Absolutely. And I also think this very much speaks to a dental audience. So, for example, chapter 7 is entitled Happiness is Like a Rainbow. And it's the science of happiness, literally, and the science of positivity that comes directly from my happiness certification, directly from the work of Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, who also gave me a testimonial for my book, which I
So
also can't
cool.
believe. Um, and by the way, one of his books, The Pursuit of Perfect, I think every dentist needs to read because I talk all about, not just in that chapter, but throughout the book, this idea that happiness is a comparative emotion and that happiness leads to success, not the other way around. And that if we keep looking to specific achievements to create or mark happiness, then when we get there, we then say, okay, great, now what? And
Hmm.
that's a really nuanced and advanced concept for people to latch onto. But I can tell you from my own experience, when you finally get it, it's life changing. Because if you've ever heard me speak, particularly in the last, I would say, year and a half to 2 years, I will pause when I'm talking about this topic and I will literally say, am I happy to be the keynote speaker at Ivoclar's North American sales meeting or the American College of Prosthodontics? Yeah, you bet your bottom dollar I am. But what am I happy about? It's not the invitation. It's the hours that I spent learning. It's the commitment. It's the financial commitment. It's the all the hours putting this stuff together. That's what I'm happy about. Yes, it's a nuance, but it's incredibly important, particularly for dentists, because our lives are so, for many, contingent on these markers, you know, practice, house, second house, second car, Porsche, all these things that can really get us into trouble from a mental health perspective.
It's like the devil is in the details too, because what you just said is such a great example of it's a small little mindset shift or a small little nuance. And some people may say, well, that's kind of minutia, like,
Mhm.
yeah, of course you're excited about being there. And you can say, well, I'm excited about looking at where I got. But if you actually think that, you're not basing your happiness on these achievements.
Correct. And I find that I'm much more even keeled. Not numb by any stretch of anyone's imagination, but the highs and lows, if you envision a sine wave or instead of having the Y be really, really high, now it's much shorter, it's much narrower. So you have the ups and the downs, but they're within a more confined, narrow channel or space, which is
I
much
have to tell
healthier.
you that visual is
Hmm.
exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
Having gone on similar
Hmm.
but different journey
Yeah.
is exactly that. And all the people that I really look up to are like that as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're chill, they're easygoing,
Yep.
they don't sweat small stuff,
Yep.
but they're human.
Absolutely.
And
I
I was reading something, I can't remember what it was. It was how the Stoics, from
yeah.
whatever that was, Roman times or something, um, was they were very misunderstood
Hmm.
in that a lot of people think of Stoics as being like, I have no emotion.
Yeah.
And it's the exact opposite. It's like they understand it and they recover quickly.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
So
It's
tell me more about what people are going to learn in this book.
so again, as we've said a couple of times, and thank you, it's not a fluffy tome. It's very deployable and actionable. And 4 out of the 10 chapters of my book, including a letter from Martin, talk all about my team framework. And it's done within the guise of my story and the story of others and how you look at your life. And so, team, for those of you who have listened to, who are regulars on this, you know what this stands for. But for those that are new here, it stands for thoughts lead to emotions that drive actions that manifest results. And I learned a lot about this framework that originally came to me in a different form from two of my mentors, Jen Barley and Karen Sullivan. And what I realized was, I had always said from a long time ago that team in its left to right incarnation is reactive. You have a stimulus that creates a thought, that creates an emotion, that creates an action. And that in right to left or reverse or meet, it's reactive. Excuse me, it's proactive. What do I want out of this situation? What action do I have to take to manifest that? What emotion do I have to support the action? And what thought do I have to give the emotion hope? Okay,
Hmm.
great. But in writing the book, it was literally a last minute edit. Now, granted, you got to understand, last minute edits happened almost 8 months ago.
Right.
But I realized that no, team is like a globe orbiting around us. And so if you think about Frankel's quote again for the upteenth time, between stimulus and response, there's a space. Some people enter that space from a stimulus with a thought. Some people enter it with a knee jerk emotion. Some people enter it with a knee jerk action, like maybe rolling your eyes or, saying an expletive like that. So what I realized was, as you talk about in your work, my friend, the first step is realizing the thought, realizing the emotion, realizing the action that's causing a manifestation that may or may not be to your benefit. And so there's multiple
Like step
exercises.
zero, right?
Yeah, yeah. So there's multiple exercises in the book that help you understand that more deeply and
Hmm.
then help to deploy it along with, my NBCA concept as well, which we talked about before.
Yeah, it's funny because these topics, for those of you that have taken our Light Side Life course, this is what Martin
Yeah.
teaches,
Yeah.
he teaches in our Light Side Life course. And it's always so wonderful to see our participants have these aha moments,
Yeah.
take away these tools,
Hmm.
and then we many times will get messages or
Hmm.
emails or,
Yeah.
I don't know if I sent you one. I just got one from Janine, who I saw
Hmm.
in
Yeah.
Connecticut.
Hmm.
She sent me a really nice message. I don't know if
Oh,
I sent it
nice.
to you yet. I
Nice.
screenshotted it, but I'll send it to you.
Nice.
But these are the kind of things that get us excited is
Yeah.
our colleagues who we know what they have been through or what they are going through because we've been
Hmm.
there in our
Yeah.
own practice journeys. Going down this road of personal development, spending time, money, and effort,
Hmm.
and then seeing the results.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no secret here, people.
No.
People that put effort into mindset, people that put effort into
Hmm.
communication,
Yeah.
people that put effort into self-awareness,
Hmm.
they become happier.
Totally.
They get better. This is what Martin and I did. I think I wish I had more dental related input for me because I
Hmm.
think I would have progressed quicker.
Sure.
I think the journey that I went on, which probably took me 6 to 9 months, could have happened in 45 days, probably.
Yeah.
But we put time, money, and effort into this, and we get better.
Yes. 100%.
And so,
And
what do you think about that? And is there a point in the book that discusses that?
yeah, I mean, I definitely talk about in the book as you and I talk about in our combined teachings and my own teachings independently. Skills are skills, and they take time to develop. And particularly if you think about dentists, I stand up and I jokingly say, "How long did it take you to prep your first crown? How long does it take you now?" And so
Hmm.
usually the answer is half a day or 3 hours, whatever. And now it's depends on the person. Let's say 20 minutes, just
Yeah.
prep time. Um, why is that? Because of repetition. And so why are skills of thought any different? You're just judging them as different, but they're not. And so because we're so evidence-based, which is not a bad thing,
Yeah.
because we're so evidence-based, we then falsely lay that over other skill set areas. And if we feel it isn't tangible, then we feel it isn't evidence based, and then we just get frustrated or don't put the time into it. But it takes time and consistency, frankly.
Tell me about one of the other. exercises that's in the
Hmm.
book?
So there's oh my gosh, there's so many. Um,
There's some good ones.
yeah, there's some good ones. There's one that we do, I think we do in Lightside Live about, envisioning your future.
Yeah.
Um, and actually, yeah, we I do a slight different one in the book, but we envisioning our future versus envisioning or thinking about our present. And what's
Hmm.
the gap between those two? And what do we need to do in order to move forward? And so in
Yep.
the book, I actually use the classic grow model. And so the grow model is basically all about that. It's basically, a stepwise framework of how to figure out, what's your goal, what are the opportunities, what are the threats, and what's your way forward. That's grow, GROW. And so it gives you a very specific framework to think about these things. It's like, okay, so here are the obstacles. Are these real or are these things that we're making up in our head? Speaking of which, in terms of another exercise, we talk about limiting beliefs and we talk about the way that we look at the world and how those feelings about ourselves and or the things and or people around us may actually be holding us back in a fantastical way because they're not actually real. They're just in our
Mm.
head.
So what final thoughts do you have for people about this book? I mean, I know for me, I'm not a big book reader. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that. But when I sat down to read this, and I read a lot of it on a plane because I travel a lot, I read quick,
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
And you'll ask my wife, I'm the slowest reader in the history of the world.
Well, your comprehension's probably off the charts because you are a researcher after all. So, yeah.
I think my comprehension is good now. God, my comprehension was so bad. I think that's why I read so slow too. It's like
Sure.
in order to
Sure.
comprehend things, I have to really, I want to get it.
Sure.
Um, but it read very fast for me. It's very conversational. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stories which
Oh,
keep you
yeah.
going. There's a
Yeah.
lot of fun stories in there
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
good stories, bad stories, not bad, not entertaining, but like, not great that what
Scary.
you went through, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you want people to get out of this?
I want people to understand that as trite as it sounds, it's really truly a book for anybody and everybody. And everybody feels that they're in a different place. And I do believe as a coach that we're all exactly where we need to be. And so I, the few people that have read it thus far have not only said similar to what you've said, but they've also said, it feels like you're reading it to me, which is a
Yeah,
huge compliment because my voice really shines through.
it does.
But this is truly a universal book. Like, just to give you a little insight, who are some of the stories or who are some of the people whose stories I tell in the book that I get to call friends? My friend Sean Swarner, who climbed Mount Everest with one functioning lung. Because when he was a child, he had two independent cancers before he was 18,
Wow.
the second of which had a 94% mortality rate. And he made a one move of thought to say, I'm not going to let this take me. And it's
Yeah.
been the guidepost of his life. My
Hmm.
my friend Kimberly Locke, who was third runner up on American Idol in season 2 or 3 to Clay Aiken and Ruben Studdard, must have been season 2. And
Hmm.
she almost didn't go to the
Wow.
audition, but she made that one move and it's changed her life.
Hmm.
My friend James Gish, who was Fiero and Wicked on Broadway, who dreamed of being on Broadway from a very small town in Arizona. And so it's story after story after story of people from all different walks of life in all different circumstances that I truly believe, due to the number of stories, like my friend Ken, who unfortunately became blind as an adult due to a virus. There's something in here for everybody that you can either connect to directly or indirectly. And I really truly believe that in my soul, that this book can speak to practically anybody because of its diverse nature of storytelling and the universality of message and exercises in it.
Yeah. It's a great book. I hope everybody picks it up, especially if you are a listener to Wellness and Dentistry. It was very special for me to read it because I know Martin. And
Yeah,
I think for you too, it'll be the same thing. It's like
yeah,
you'll hear his voice, you will already know some of the things that he discusses. And
Hmm.
this just goes even more into detail and it can apply to so many different areas of your life. So where do they pick it up?
Anywhere books are sold, frankly. It's internationally released, and it is literally wherever books are sold,
So that's
online,
like
in
Amazon,
bookstores.
that's where
It's
else?
barnesandnoble.com, Target, Walmart, your independent bookstores.
Yep.
And if they don't have it, they can certainly get it for you because it
Yes.
is through a publisher. This was not self-published.
Hmm.
And I would also like to say that one of the things I'm very proud of is that my publisher is very engaged with Habitat for Humanity.
Mm.
So a portion of your purchase actually goes to support Habitat for Humanity
I
and
didn't know
building
that.
homes. Yeah, it's actually listed on the back cover of the book, our support of Habitat for Humanity. It's something I'm additionally proud of as part of this process.
Yeah, well, you guys know we've been talking about it for a long time. It's finally out. We're
Yeah,
excited. And take what Martin says and actually be an action taker with this. Know that one move makes all the difference. Know
yeah,
that the first push-up you do is the first step in doing 100 push-ups.
that's right.
First, painting one part of your wall is to painting the whole room. You know,
That's
it's
right.
like, or not even painting one wall, just going and buying the roller or deciding what
Exactly.
color, you know.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really exciting. Definitely pick it up. And Martin, we're all excited for you,
Thank you.
and I'm excited for everyone to read it. And is there an audiobook?
I believe there will be, yes. And it's
Great,
also available for download to electronic devices as
cool,
well. So yeah, both. Mhm.
great.
Yep.
And send Martin or send me a message once you've bought it, you've read it, and I
Yes.
know you're gonna love it. Send it, and we'll read them here on the podcast.
Love it.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you on the next episode of Wellness and Dentistry.
Bye-bye.